This is my iPhone and it can shoot at 240 FPS. This is my first slow motion camera and it can shoot at 1000 FPS in 1080p. And this is a new camera called Spark and it's by Pixboom and it can shoot at 4K 1000 FPS and 2K 1800 FPS. And I'm about to show you what it can do. So Pixboom are a startup company and they kindly reached out and let me loan this camera before it officially launches. I also wanted to be honest with you guys and give you a camera review that actually showed more of the practical experiences with high-speed slow motion, whether it's at home in studio or outdoors in different environments. So let's take a look at the image quality, function and affordability and see if this camera is actually worth it. So design-wise, I actually think this camera looks pretty nice. It's got a super lightweight aluminium body design that's only 1.1 kilograms. It's also got a large touchscreen that's 3.5 inches, and also this camera uses a BSI sensor, which is incredibly unique to this camera, but essentially it just means that you can capture images with a lot less light. And as this is a beta model, there are a lot of solid buttons that don't actually work yet, but I will say that the touchscreen is very intuitive and does operate very well when I'm actually on shoot, and I haven't had any particular issues other than a little bit of slowness here and there. And you can actually set your own aspect ratio or frame rate depending on what's required for your shoot. I do love the additional touches and features to this camera, such as the V-mount battery on the back. In fact, this saved me in a lot of situations outdoors, and I imagine it would have been so much more painful if I had to use extension leads and other cables. The lens mount is also quite versatile, and you can switch between either E, PL or EF mount. In this beta model, I've been given the PL mount, and I've also been lucky to have a loan of lenses from Lauer, so big shout out to them, where I've got to test out the Sword series kit, which gives me the opportunity to try macro and also wider shots. There's a compartment on the side for the Pixboom Pro card, which is a 2.4 terabyte hard drive and is plenty of storage for storing slow motion footage, although I wish that they do bring out a 4 terabyte hard drive in the future. Now, I had a bit of a funny journey with the image quality at the beginning, and I spoke to the Pixboom team several times about this, and they were very responsive and helpful with getting this resolved. And the problem I had was that the image quality just wasn't up to standard when I was expecting it to be 4K. And I showed them a before of how the image actually looked, and you could see this horrendous blue tint bleed around all the edges and highlights of products. And I said to them, if I was using this for client work, this would be a big problem. And they understood, as a product videographer, I need it to be croppable, but also extremely sharp for video quality. And they came back to me, fortunately, with a patch that actually fixed this problem. So I do appreciate their response in this, and it actually helped me understand how good the camera is once I got to record new bits of footage, which I had to re-record a lot of. The image quality was great in both indoor and outdoor conditions, and especially in outdoor, I was impressed with the ability to control light, whether it was harsh daylight or slightly lower light conditions. And I think thanks to the dual ISO sensor, whether you could shoot at 400 all the way up to 1600, I was able to capture some really good conditions, even when the light was shifting and changing. I took some shots out on the golf course and got some very good detail images of the ball being hit, although that was a bit difficult not knowing the rate in which someone was going to swing the golf club. And I was fortunate enough to work with a Michelin star chef, and we got some amazing food shots in very, very sunny conditions. And I actually think this is some of the best work I've ever captured, and it does look incredible with the detail in 4K. and that's probably thanks to the 13 stops of dynamic range that this camera can offer, and I can definitely say that it does live up to that expectation. I found that the highlights weren't getting too blown out, and it was very easy to see the detail even when it was slightly overexposed. Now moving on to indoor shots, I was more in my element with being able to shoot coffee shots inside and also doing some of my studio work. And when I went to the coffee shop, I was able to capture some beautiful motion of coffee pouring into a glass and also some incredible splash shots which really showed what 1000 FPS can actually do. Being in quite a closed environment, I was very well aware that this was going to be difficult to get a lot of light into the camera, and when you're shooting at 1000 FPS, you do need to make sure that you have enough light there or the image is going to be incredibly dark. And I was using two 500 watt lights, one on the front and one on the back of the product, and that way I was able to get enough light into the camera. But I will emphasize again that the sensor really helped me out here because I wasn't using the lights at full power. They were less than 50% on the power usage. The next challenge I had in mind was to go back to my studio and set up some beer shots. And although I was in a comfortable environment, I knew this would have some challenges. With this situation, you always have to consider the amount of light you're using to make sure the product is well lit. And when I was lighting this beer bottle, there was a lot of factors to include, which were the label, the back of the bottle, the liquid that's coming out, and also the background that I was using. And although there can be a lot of complexities shooting slow motion in a studio environment, I actually had so much fun using this camera, and I think it's going to be exceptional when it launches in January. And I can't wait to get my hands on it again to actually have another go with shooting so many crazy slow motion ideas. They've also created a very easy system for offloading your footage. You simply just take out the hard drive, plug it into your computer, and use Pixboom Cine software. From there, you can just drag and drop your clips into the software, select the sections and A to B points of where you want your footage, and export that into a file. But that being said, these files are big, so just be wary that you have enough space on your computer to handle the footage. Now, I know a lot of you want to know the price point of this camera, and currently right now, as I'm making this video, this camera is worth $9,995. And before you go, whoa, this is too expensive, I actually think this is a very reasonable and affordable price for the slow motion market. If we look across the board, Phantom cameras can cost over $100,000, Freefly comes in at about $20,000, and Kronos has got their camera at $15,000. For the price point that they have created this camera and the quality it produces, I actually think this is extremely reasonable. Although Pixboom still have a lot of updates to do before they officially launch, I think everything they've done so far has been exceptional. And I also think they've done a really great job of making this accessible to future content creators and videographers. I hope you guys enjoyed this early overview of Pixboom Spark, and I'm sure I'll give you an update when I have my hands on the camera again. But please remember to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys very soon.